known as the banker to the poor. Muhammad Yunus is the creator of microfinancing, which has benefited millions of grassroots entrepreneurs and earned him global recognition. He is now promoting the idea of social business as a way to fight poverty. Join us this week as our special contributor, James Chow, sits down with Muhammad Yunus, a Nobel Prize laureate, economist, and social entrepreneur, only on CCTV News, only on Biz Talk. On April 17, 2013, U.S. congressional leaders presented their highest civilian honor, the Congressional Gold Medal, to Bangladeshi economist and Nobel Peace Prize laureate Muhammad Yunus for his efforts to fight global poverty.
It's not only an honor personally for me, it's an honor for the whole country of Bangladesh and the very hard-working people of Bangladesh. They want to make a difference in their lives. All we want to do, all we need to do is to provide them the right kind of support.
Known as a banker to the poor and the father of microfinancing, Professor Yunus loaned the equivalent of $27 to $42 to destitute basket weavers in a village near his home in the southern Bangladeshi port city of Chittagong, after failing to persuade a local bank to do so. In 1983, he founded Grameen Bank, which has since made more than $10 billion in loans to poor Bangladeshis and provided a lifeline for millions. The banking model has now been copied in more than 100 nations, from the United States to Uganda. Professor Yunus and Grameen Bank were awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2006 for their efforts to create economic and social development from below.
Professor Yunus, welcome to the program. You're the pioneer of microfinance, you're the creator of social business, and now you're offering the world a new model where companies reinvest their entire profits and for the good of the community. How is that progressing?
It's doing well. I'm very happy that the young people respond very warmly to it. They see an opportunity to transform the world in the way they want to create it, rather than inherit and keep the world that it is. Another side which makes me happy, because big corporations, big multinationals are becoming interested in our work. They're coming forward with joining us, create joint ventures as social business. They normally look for business to make money. So this is completely different for them, to come in, to join hands with us, to change the world, to change the condition of the people, solve the problems by a business method. So that's a very happy sign that even the big corporations see it's worthwhile to get into it. So we have now a situation where we can strongly promote the idea of having two kinds of businesses. One, business to make money, personal profit. Another business is away from personal profit, but focusing on solving problems. Business is a wonderful mechanism, wonderful tool by which you can address the problem and solve it in a sustainable way. That's what the word that should be underlining, sustainable solutions.
Your link to today's youth is very literal, because you helped their mothers. When your story began back in the 1970s, you loaned $27, I think, of your own money to 42 women in a village. And today they have children, boys and girls of their own. And so your program has expanded. In this post-Nobel era particularly, and with your ideas continuing to evolve, you've taken microfinance and pulled that into what you call microequity. These men and women are educated, but they still need that support. Why is it that they can't find jobs still?
I'm putting it in a different way. I'm telling them, why should they be looking for a job? I'm questioning them. What is it that's pushing you to find a job? I said, is this what you were taught in the school, that you have to find a job? Finding a job is a very small matter. You are such a big entity. You are such a powerful entity. Why should you limit yourself in a tiny little role? You have a bigger role waiting for you. So go for the bigger role. I said, forget about the job-seeking part. I said, job-seeking is an old-fashioned idea. Don't even look at that. New idea is discover yourself as an entrepreneur. And then we created these social business funds. Tell them that we have the money. You come up with a business idea. And if you give us a good business idea, here is the money. We invest in you. We give you the equity. It's not a loan. It's equity. We become your partner. So you work hard to make sure you make the business successful, then gradually return the money that we gave you as equity and buy off the shares that we own in your company. You own the whole company because you buy off all the shares. You don't have to pay any extra for us. You just give us the book value of that share. Because we are a social business, we don't want to make money from you. We want to solve your problem, launch you into the orbit, and become a successful entrepreneur. That's what we want. So people love that. So young people are coming in numbers to submit their business ideas, and then we are putting the money as equity and helping them to become entrepreneurs.
You use the word sustainable, but you also use the word happy. How happy are you? Because when you look at the early indicators, which markets appear to be the most receptive? And where does the promise lie so far?
I mentioned about happiness because people think that profit is the only source of incentive. That's what makes people do the things that they do, take the risk and do hard work so that they can make more profit. So profit has been established and promoted as the engine of transformation, engine of transforming the economy, driving the economy forward. I said, yes, I agree completely that profit is a big moving element in transforming the economy and moving the economy forward. I said, making money is a happiness. That's why it's an incentive. The more money you make, more happy you get. So making money is a happiness. I say, making people happy, other people happy, is a super happiness. So that's another incentive. So you have to now weigh between the two kinds of happiness. One, making money, you make yourself happy. Another one, making other people happy, make yourself happy. So that's two kinds of happiness that you have to kind of weigh in between, which one you want to accept and go forward.
At the beginning of this interview, you spoke a lot about happiness, but what is the happiness in your own life that informs all of your own experiences today?
Well, I kind of jump into unknowns. I see a problem. I try to solve that problem in a business way. I'm not sure how to arrive at that. I have a tentative idea. When it works, that's a tremendous pleasure, that I have done something in a way which helps people solve the problem. And I have opened up a gate. Many people can go through this gate now. So every time I see that, it excites me a lot. So even a tiny little thing I do, at the beginning I was hesitant, I was not sure, but I still jumped at the unknown and finally found that it worked. And that it attracts other people, it inspires other people. That's also my happiness, that the things that I did make sense to other people. At the beginning I thought it only makes sense to me, probably it won't make sense to other people. But I find out it makes sense to other people. That makes me very happy. That's things that I do, it is something important for them. When people say, you know what, after listening to you, after reading your book, after seeing what you have done, my life has changed. I see things in a completely different way than I was used to. So that makes me very happy, that yes, my way of thinking has influenced somebody to discover his way of thinking. So this is something very, very pleasant for me. Today, many young people like it. They see a possibility that they can change the world, create a world in their own ideas and so on. That's a tremendous thing.
After winning the Nobel Prize for inspiring a global microfinancing movement, Professor Yunus is now pioneering an idea he calls social business. The professor has committed his portion of the $1 million Nobel Prize money to developing the cause he is promoting. In his book, Creating a World Without Poverty, Yunus describes a social business as one dedicated to social causes rather than profit. Yunus says the concept can be applied in the world's poorest countries and also in the wealthy world, where many poor people are not considered creditworthy and therefore can't fully participate in the economic system.
Think about that. Is social business in any way a constructive equivalent of an MBA for the poor? And if so, what is at its core structure?
Well, it's not MBA for the poor. Social business is any kind of business. It could be a tiny little business. It could be a mega business, business to solve problem. We define it by saying it's a non-dividend company to solve human problem. So this business is defined by solving problems. His whole mission is solving problem. And the conventional business, you define business how much money you make. The more money you make, more successful the business is. So the parallel to that, in social business, more successfully you solve the problem, more successful the business you are. So you transform the business into a different category, a problem-solving business. No intention of benefiting personally. So you're free from personal benefit and personal profit-taking yourself. So you can take back your investment money, whatever you have invested, and that's it. But when the business makes profit is plowed back into the business so that more and more of the problems can be solved. So we created a lot of those social businesses. And it excites people because they see right in front of their own eyes, yes, problem can be solved. We don't have to wait for the governments to come and solve the problem. We don't have to come bring international people to come and help us to overcome our problem. We do it ourselves as individuals.
But you just hit the word that I wanted to pounce on next, governments.
Yes.
When you say that you anticipate the problems that government otherwise wouldn't need to address, it brings in the ideas around accountability and responsibility. Where does that lie if you're so efficient with microfinance, with microequity, with social business? Where's the accountability for the government? Where do they come in, or do you simply replace them?
Government is something that people make. Government is not imposed by some superpower from outside. We make some common things we have to solve, which individually we cannot do it. So we created something, a mechanism called government. You do it on our behalf. These are the things you have to take care. But gradually what we have done in the process, because the capitalist system created a world of economy where businesses are supposed to remain busy with making money because they have no other objective. So the businesses are so busy making money, they have no time to look at the problems people face. So they all dumped in the shoulder of the government. You take care of it. We are so busy. So governments have accumulated problems in their lap. They cannot solve all those problems. One way to try to solve them, by give them a state charity. If you are poor, here's a state charity. You are on welfare. You take care of yourself. Don't bother me. If you're unemployed, here's my another check. You take care of it. That's not a solution. You're just denying the problem. That's all. And you are perpetuating the problem by pushing it away, by throwing some charity money. I said human beings are capable of solving their own problem. So I'm bringing the attention that individual citizen, as a human being, they have the capacity to solve all these problems. So I'm not taking away the responsibility of the government, simply sharing the responsibility with the government as an individual so that I can also help. So if all the citizens start helping, the government responsibility will be lessened, that yes, now we can solve it in a better way, so they can pay attention to the more fundamental issues in policy making, in institution building, in encouraging people to do things, creating enabling environment. That's their real job is. They have not been able to solve the problem of poverty. They will never be able to do that. They cannot solve the problem of income disparity because the machine cranks up the income disparity. No matter how government taxes here and taxes there, income disparity is not going to disappear. It continues to do that. So we have to come back as a citizen, as a human being, how we can address that. This problem of unemployment, problem of income disparity, problem of poverty, problem of climate change, all these problems. So when individual human beings join in the solution part, then real solutions start coming. Government alone cannot do that.
There is a thinking amongst private sector leaders that they can contribute towards the relief of the poor via social responsibility. But of course, your social business concept is far more revolutionary. How do you win them over towards your dynamic? How do you allow them to continue feeling good whilst also achieving effectively and doing good?
Yeah. I'll just change the word. You said private sector will do this and so on. I don't use the word private sector because it's linked with profit making. So you say private sector, those who are in business and making money. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about individuals. Even in the private sector, the individuals who run the private sector. as a human being. I'm saying that they have the capacity to come out of that format and step outside and create another kind of business, social business sector. So if private sector is a profit-making sector, here is a social business sector. So I'm talking about human being as an individual, how they can contribute. So they see an opportunity. It's not the fault of the people who run the private sector. The private sector is something which is creating the problems, like problem of climate change, problem of income disparity, problem of unemployment. They are good people, but the machine cranks out all these problems. They have no other machine. This only machine they have is somehow creates this problem. So I said, step outside of this machine. There's another technology available for you, which will reverse the whole process, bring people out of unemployment, reduce the income disparity, reduce the climate problem that we have, global warming and all those problems. And this can be handled in a separate way as a human being. So that way you create a new kind of awareness, new kind of opportunities. Human beings have unlimited creative power. Simply the machine that we have, the framework that we have, is not using that creativity for solving the problem. They're using that creativity to make more money for themselves. And as a result, they go in the top, become very wealthy on the top. And people who are left at the bottom, they remain at the bottom. They have no chance of moving up. So this is what we want to change by bringing changes in the structure itself.
Seems to be evolving exponentially. You seem to have the imagination of no limits. One of the most exciting and dynamic projects you're currently leading is a nursing school in Bangladesh. You identified a need for more frontline health workers. They're highly skilled, the people that you train. They're sought by hospitals as far away as Scotland. How do you link, though, financial empowerment to access to health, to social inclusion, to access to basic services?
Because life is interlinked. Life is not separate categories. This is one, this is another one. We, for our convenience, we drew the line. This part is this part of that. But life is a continuum. It's all interlinked with each other. So as we live this life, we take opportunities to address all the problems in each sector, each part of that life, so that we can make it life better one. So in the health sector, we saw this opportunity. We created a social business to produce nurses so that it becomes self-sustaining and so that we don't have to bring money from outside to keep it running. It generates enough money, enough income so that it continues to progress, it continues to expand by itself. So here we don't have to worry about it because it's a self-financing. I keep reminding, charity money works only once. You give the money, it runs the whole system for a fixed period of time, then money spends. If you do it in a social business way, it keeps running. It's a self-sustaining and self-refueling machine. You never have to bring money from outside. And it creates surplus to expand itself. So that's the beauty of the whole system.
As the crisis-hit global economy is struggling to recover, the labor market remains sluggish. Against this gloomy backdrop, young people who are less skilled and less experienced than older workers are bearing the brunt. The International Labour Organization, a United Nations agency, has put the youth unemployment rate at 13.1%. That's more than double that for the whole workforce and almost 3 times the adult rate. It's also a record for the ratio of youth to adult unemployment. The ILO has cautioned about what's being called a scarred generation of young people facing high unemployment, increased inactivity, and precarious work in developed countries, as well as persistently high working poverty in the developing world.
Well, what are the exciting results that you look forward to with just a few weeks to go and with very much the global landscape shifting particularly this year? What are the achievables that you've set out for yourself and also the outline of the agenda as a whole?
2 major issues that we see emerging from our work right now as the priority items, because the world is very concerned about that. One, of course, unemployment, particularly youth unemployment. It's highlighted by the massive youth unemployment in Europe. It was always there in third world countries. People never paid any attention to it. But the fact that it's happening in rich countries, in a way, in a very unacceptable way, people are talking about lost generation in Europe because they still don't see that they will ever get into the job market to find a life for themselves. So next generation will come up and be in the forefront of the one that is lost generation. So this is something at the mind of everybody. And we say there's a good solution but through social business, because we misinterpreted human being in our traditional framework of economics. We considered human beings as some kind of employee to work in someplace else. So we trained them to become employee. We made their mindset into employee mindset. We tell them that as you come out of the schools, as you get your degree, as your certificate, now you're ready to find a job. And you should go in the job market, find yourself a job, and that's the beginning of your life. I think that's not a good message for any young people. Young people is basically an entrepreneur, a creative person. A creative person is not kind of trained to become an employee, start with a slot in the bottom of the ladder and work through the ladder for the rest of their life. That's not an exciting thing. This is not something I would enjoy as a young person, or any young person would like that. Young person wants to be himself. He wants to, or she wants to define herself, who she is or who he is. That's not available if you are going to employment seeking. So we are saying we have to believe that we are not job seekers, we are job creators. And we bring our creative power to create things so that we can employ other people into it if they're looking forward to have jobs for us. So that's the first choice for the people, not being an employee in some other businesses.
When you look at that binary almost, the creator versus the seeker, is that restricted to the young people that you seek to empower and to support throughout? Or can that also be applied to an older generation, a generation that did very much grow up in that job-seeking mindset?
Yes, it's across the board. I'm talking about the human being. So I'm mentioning the young people because that's in focus right now at the youth unemployment. But anybody could be an entrepreneur. And particularly this is relevant for young people. It's the start of the life.
I'm smiling because it's very empowering just to listen to. When you think back to the young people that you've worked with, because it's not just speaking from a platform, from a stage, you work with young people one-on-one every day of your life. When you think about them and you think about their stories and how they transform from before even understanding there was a concept of job creating versus job seeking, how do you think more widely it transforms the minds, the way that someone lives, the way that someone is?
It's very fundamental, very basic to any human being. Look at our education system. Our education system is very good in teaching math, in teaching economics, in teaching history, literature, whatever you say. But it's no good in finding out, in telling the young people who they are, what their potentials are, what their missions are. Universities pride themselves that as they finish their school, they get their certificate, they get their degrees, they are ready to get their appointment letters in businesses and so on. So that's a very successful university, that from school they go to the job. So there is no waiting period for them. I said, that's not a happy story. You make those people into kind of fodder, sucked into a machine which puts them into the bottom layer, so gradually, hopefully going up in the ladder. I said, the real thing is the universities should be priding themselves when they have the graduate degree and the piece of paper on their hand. They said now they found their mission in life. In the education system has provided, help the person to define what is the mission of my life. And then he or she translate that mission into work, whatever he or she wants to do. So this is, again, a deviation from what a human being should be doing. So we kind of make the education system in a sort of a vocational training course or something like that. We are not looking for human element in each person, what one can be, what is the dream he wants to fulfill, what kind of who he is, what are the potentials he has, and then realize that potential. Go for it. And that will be the real part of the education. So employment-seeking mentality is far, far smaller, belittled kind of activity for an individual. So we would like to transform that, create that community of young people who are looking forward to look at their mission and create a new life for them, create a new world for them. And that's what the young people should be looking for.